What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV. Back with another live stream today. Needed a special guest, man, just to get me through the pain that we're suffering as Arsenal fans.
Okay.
Deluded in the building. How you doing, my bro?
I'm there, my guy. I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with your subscribers. I'm sad that we, probably get into it, but we're here in negative circumstances, really. But happy to be here, man. Love for bringing me on again.
Anytime, bro. And just before we start the video, I want to say congrats to you. I see you just hit 30,000 subscribers. And you know what? In all seriousness, yeah, I've done a lot of videos with a lot of YouTubers and, Arsenal content creators, but you're one of the hardest working content creators out there, bro. I'm telling you.
Why you got to do that, man? Like, but
Bro,
thank
what
you,
do they call? What do you call yourself? Angolo Kante of YouTube.
Yeah, we have to change that to party or something now.
Yeah.
But I try, man. Hard work is crucial. I just try to be consistent, man. Love for the praise as well. But you're gassing me. Look at your thing. From August to now, you've basically grown like what 10K. That growth is mad. You're killing it, man. I'm trying to be like you, my guy.
We grow together, man. That's it, innit? Community, man.
Trust me.
But let's talk about Arsenal, bruv. I mean, are we ever going to do a show at the start of the week where we can just talk about a victory and smile and celebrate? It's always doom and gloom, man. What did you make of the game against Everton? I mean, there weren't much to it, but what did you make of it? What positives could you draw out of it, if any?
I had to have a little giggle there, Curtis. I said positive. I said positive. Positive that Martinelli's back. Like that's the only real for me positive that Martinelli's back, and that really, the scoreline weren't worst, really, because I feel you saw the game in it. Not to go into detail, but that's probably the worst Everton performance they ever as a team have put in, and they still managed to do a thing against us, and they could have scored a couple more. It's the same old, man. It's the same old. Another positive, really. Maitland-Niles did all right in his spot. Man said Andy Cohen, York. Love man, love lost and found. But like I say, my guy, sorry. Maitland-Niles looked decent. You had Martinelli doing his thing. Beyond that, there's no positives. You're seeing our players bickering amongst each other. Some man want to stand up tall, some man are scared. Not it weren't just the midfield's fault, but I'm not happy with our midfield. So Bios, he's too we've been onto him, bro, but he's too interested in, for me, the personal battles, the whole little, like, he's trying to stamp on Yerry Mina. He really should have been sent off for that. El Nene, I'm sorry, but El Nene was cowardly in that game. When you play football, you've played football to a higher level than me, and you're an attacking player, so you understand. When man are evidently hiding, like they're purposely standing next to man so you don't pass him to ball. That's what I was seeing. So I was very happy to see David Luiz kind of weigh into him and say, do you know what? Fix up. I know we're not necessarily the biggest fans of holding, and the defense was same old, but I'm more onto the other options. And for me, it showed the system. Like, I was seeing our defense, they got the ball. No one wants it. So it's just going long. They're winning that. And I have to get onto Arteta for that. Also have to get onto Arteta for Edu and Nketiah starting. Like, bro, Edu and Nketiah, that chance he had when he had years of space, you're meant to be fox in the box. Don't understand. But I didn't understand why he played. Lacazette's not a great striker, but surely he's been in better form. He's going to be more of a physical threat. Now, you are a striker, so you must have been more antagonized than me. But did you not see Michael Keane trying to score from 30 yards? And Yerry Mina was trying to do the same until he scored. So it's the same old, my guy. It's the same old.
Without overdoing it, because I'm sure you've seen I've been making shows like Arteta out shows and things like that, and just trying to add a little light-hearted feel to it, man. But where are you at now with the manager? Like, for me, I'm just in a position, bruv, where I'm like, if we are this giant of a club and your manager is in 15th, we know the players are massively responsible as well, but ultimately it's easier to move one player than one manager than 10 players. Do you think his job should be on the line right now?
Naturally, it should. Like, we can, like, we within the context is, we know it's not all his fault. We know there's bad players. We know people above him are making poor decisions. But this is what I meant by when we speak about it. Why you can't just be, a Arteta apologist, or you can't just be anti, because things are having to spin. I would love in an ideal world for he could turn it around and things, but ultimately it falls for him, because for me, the very small variables he can control, considering he's been here a year, there is no system. There is bewilderment in what he's saying about in press conferences. Now, we actually praised him for how he spoke initially. Now it's baffling. Like, man are talking about percentages and them thing there. Like, it's all mad. Not one single player is excelling. There's beef in dressing rooms. There's fractures. I'm hearing about fight. I'm seeing about fight. and I'm not seeing it on the football field. The way he's answering in press conferences to me is someone that don't know what he wants to do now, because you can't tell me about luck, tell me about we had more percentage of winning against Everton and Spurs, so we won. It's just bewildering. And for me, I get that. I take that as you don't have a plan. So his job has to be, and this is what I mean by genuinely, there is no pressure on anybody at this football club, because if there was pressure on everybody, Arteta would have to stop playing certain individuals, would have more urgency in the system. He's been here a year now, first full season, and we still don't know what the team is about. And many people sit here and say it's not his players, it's not this and the other. I get that. What people don't understand is two things can be true. You can say that, but you can also consider that he was allowed to he was allowed to bring certain players in, not enough, but he was. And he was allowed to say, I'm bringing Mustafi. You praised him for bringing Mustafi out from the cold. You can't look at it mad now. Ozil initially, and the many players, Xhaka initially, you know, because he should have been out the door. He turned his career around. So you can't say, you know, oh, what a great job he's done. And then when it's not going right, say they're not his players. They were his players. You know, I don't know if it was down to his tactics, euphoria of a new manager, but he was showing something last season where he's not showing now. Has he probably got credit based on he took over? It's a bit mad, and he won an FA Cup. He's probably still relying on that credit, but your job has to be under pressure. There's no way around it. In anyone in life, if I'm meant to be the owner of the manager of any department in any job, and that department is not doing their part to the collective, I'm accountable. And it's like you said, in that ultimately it falls with the manager, because for me, the very small variables he has not shown us. We don't know what this team is about. How many of those, fair enough, Jose had a great window, and Spurs have been losing the last 2 games. How many of those are his players? Carlo also had a better window. How many of those are his players? You know, Everton fans probably looked at Carlo's comments about Calvert-Lewin initially like he's a madman, because he said something like, he's the guy I want to see. Lo and behold, he's now excelling. I don't see anything. I don't know what we're doing with the young G's. He's putting his faith in the older ones. They're letting him down. I'm not really seeing someone that sounds of confidence. And I mean, for me, the saddest thing is, you know, he clearly needs to keep it moving if results keep the same way, but it's the people above him as well, man, because we're going to be talking about a different set of players, or potentially the same old, you know, sporting directors and whatnot with the same man at the club. So as long as Stan Kroenke owns this team, it's a madness, because again, he can be blamed for everything, but at the same time, we have spent money. So he hasn't invested a lot into this club, and the people he's put in charge, we've mismanaged money. Look how many of the squad, like we've made three very expensive free transfers. Willian, Kolasinac and Mkhitaryan. How much did that cost us? These loan signings, you got Ceballos twice over now, and he ain't been banging really and truly. There's been bits and dribs and drabs. How much is that going to add on? So it's crazy, bro. I don't understand what's going on, man. His job has to be under threat, and it looks like there's no other way, but he needs to keep it moving unless a madness happens. And I'd love him to turn it around, but I love my football club, and based on what I'm seeing, I don't see how it gets better. We're in a relegation battle.
We are. It's as simple as that. You could even put Cedric into that those free transfers as well. You know, 4 years. You know, even when people are getting injured, he's not getting picked. So why was he bought in the first place? Alex says, big up Curtis. My concern is who would want to join us? Can we get our number 1 targets? I mean, January transfer window around the corner. If you're an ambitious player now, and maybe Arsenal have been talking to you, you might look at Arsenal like, you know what? I don't really fancy that. Look at Szoboszlai, bruv. You know, he just rejected us to go to Red Bull Leipzig. Now, I know they're in the Champions League, but come on, let's be honest.
Facts.
That should not even be a competition of who you're going to sign for. Are we going to struggle to get our top targets in January, whoever they are?
Well, based on how it looks, you know, I have to. You made a good point about the players. When I'm looking at these players coming into the club, I have to either say you're unambitious or you're deluded, because, you know, when I look at Aubameyang signing a new deal, when I'm looking at Thomas Partey and Gabriel, you know, did Arsenal sell them this carrot of, well, you see how we won the FA Cup? We're gonna go back to the champs. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. So if they were gassed and then they were lied to, and ultimately I call that deluded. Or have to question your ambition, because I'm not saying that you're ambitious for joining Arsenal necessarily, but where's that friction to want to get better? You know, I do think Arteta wants these players to improve, but where is that friction? Where is that self-accountability? Where is that wanting to be successful as much as you want to live? I don't get that from Arsenal. And my big fear with Gabriel and Partey is, you will know it, you know, Alexis fell victim to it. You know, we have these new players, and, you know, even Torreira, you know, Gabriel and Partey, 9 times out of 10, when they're playing, they're excelling. But at some point, you know, the infection that is Arsenal and has been Arsenal, it starts infecting them, and you start to see it on there. It's happening to Aubameyang. So you have to question the ambition now. Like, you don't, unless you're there's no, even young players, you know, we're not even banging them out, but there's probably there's no sporting reason to want to sign for Arsenal unless you want to get some minutes and show how good you are in a poor team so people take advantage. Or, you know, let's be honest, we are in London. That's probably the only attraction we have now. And there's no real pressure on you to really improve as a player. That's what we see as fans. So I'd say you're either deluded or unambitious now. And we probably will, because you know yourself, in January, difficult to do business. You know, COVID now, people know Arsenal's desperate. You just made a good point about, you know, as a result of not excelling on a football field, we're in issues. So probably will. But I say that, will we, bro? Because who are these top targets? If you're targeting some 35-year-old, but it can get done, innit? It's not going to be a thing. Who are we getting?
Bruv, you know, to me now, there's only two reasons to go to Arsenal. Number one, if you're in like Gabriel's position, then you view Arsenal as a stepping stone. I'm going to go there, do well, excel, then go to a Barcelona, PSG, Real Madrid. Or you're at the back end of your career and you go there for big, big wages. Even Thomas Partey at 27, you know, let's be honest, he more than doubled his wage. You know, that must have been a financial issue, really. Who would leave Atletico to come and play for Arsenal? So I think the reasons for players signing for us now is not even the same thing it used to be. I mean, we spoke about it before. If Aouar was number one target in the summer, we couldn't get that done. Why was there no plan B, plan C, plan D? Why did we not get Buendia? Why did we not get... You look at Carlo Ancelotti, he fixed Everton's midfield in one transfer window. Alan, James, one window. They spent less than us in the summer, bruv. Yet we've got one of the worst midfields in the top half of the table, bottom half of the table.
Mismanagement, bro.
Mismanagement, man. It's crazy. Edu was talking smack last week. You know, I lost a lot of respect for him last week, I got to be honest. I didn't like the way he was firing shots at the fans. And as a guy who's been an invincible, he should understand what the fans mean to this
thing means.
What do you make of him in general? And, you know, is he another puppet? Is Kia Jarapchin just pulling his strings as well?
Well, I have several concerns over Edu. The first one being, with all due respect, he's inexperienced. Like, and when I look at Arteta, I see inexperience. When I look at him, when I see Vinay, and on one hand, I get what the club is trying to do. Not that I condone it, but I get in that we're streamlining, less individuals, more responsibilities. But if you're a novice and you're barely getting your feet wet in the job you're supposed to do, why are we splitting the decisions that Raul Sanllehi had to make between two of these guys? More responsibility, you know, it's a recipe for disaster. Then you've got Arteta's thing. One defense I will give of Edu is the same thing I said last time, in the sense of, how good can you do your job as sporting director if you're having to beg for even pennies from your owner? You can't. It has a knock-on effect. But at the same time, I'm concerned because he hasn't shown that he can work with it. I do think experience is overstated, but it can't be underrated. So we need some more experience. But at the same time, you know, he hasn't worked within the remit. If you know there's no money, and it goes to what you said about the plan Bs, work within your remit. If you know you can't buy £50 million players, you know, have your scouts, or as he said himself, everything run through him. You go and find these players that are the same profile but lesser names, so we can develop them. So you haven't worked. And like I've said, you know, as much as I blame Kroenke, when we look beyond him and the money that has been allowed to be spent, it's mismanagement. Willian, you know, certain man getting free transfers like Thiago Silva, you see what he's doing because Chelsea had a plan for him. Why did we bring Willian? Did we get Willian because he's experienced in Premier League, or did we, you know, because of the Kaya Jarapkins, because we've already got people that he's played with already, you know, because it was the easy thing, because it was a surer bet than going for, you know, under the same circumstances but different in the sense of you're going for a hit and miss like Pepe or another young player. It don't make sense. I don't think he's done his job well enough, because he was another one who was gassing me, because he used to say things like, yeah, I like traveling with the team, I like to feel part of it, I'm in the dressing room. For me, I like that, because obviously I don't want him to step on his manager's toes, but I want him, you know, it's a collective
involved.
thing. Yeah. And like you said, with the whole invincible business, even more. So I don't get it. You can't have been an invincible or just or seen what we've seen as outsiders and believe it. I know you don't believe what you're saying and you're just saying lip service, because you was as frustrated as we were on the sides. And like you said, the biggest thing with him that I was vexed with is, come on, man, the communication, the way you portray things. People would have been frustrated if he said stuff like, okay, Willian hasn't hit the heights running, but stay behind him. You more or less done this this dictatorship thing and just said we've got to accept it, shut up about it, and continue. And I don't think that's it. And he sounds like a hypocrite because I'm sure, as you've seen, many tweets have been resurfacing about his previous comments about Willian instant success and all of these sort of things. So what have you got to say there, really? It's not making sense. I've not been impressed with what I've seen, but I do think it's just all incompetence. What Edu is probably being crippled from the top. So he, as a direct result as being crippled and not being able to do his job and just not being competent, it's had an effect on another man below him that is struggling in Arteta. So you've got three novices, and no experience really. You've got an owner that doesn't seem like he really cares. Like maybe the one thing is I bet you he finally knows where Arsenal are in the league table because of where we are right now, and he's probably seen some yellow bar news and whatnot. So Edu's not doing his job properly, man. We need an experienced head of hands, and it ain't worked out, bro. Like even I know it was a different role, but wasn't he in Brazil? Like he meant to have some Brazil role. Where's the Martinelli's not even his thing. He didn't even get Martinelli for us. So where's the young 20-year-old Brazilian or something?
Bro, this is what I was saying the other day, and I said when your club effectively, uses an agent for recruitment. I've obviously Wolves use George Mendes. Look at the Portuguese dons they're pulling in, Neto, Podence. They're getting these man for peanuts as well.
Neves.
We've got Neves and João Moutinho and, all these ballers they've brought in. We've got Kia Jarabchin and Edu. So if we need a creative midfielder, I'm sure there are loads of skillful creative players in Brazil. Could we not have pulled someone in this summer from Brazil? Could we not be tapping up that market? But instead, lazy recruitment. Tony Adams said today, Arsenal's recruitment in the summer was lazy, and I agree with that. Thomas Partey was available the whole summer. We bought him on the last day. Why? Willian, why did we give him a 3-year contract? I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I felt Willian, as a squad player for maybe a year on a free, wasn't the worst of signings. But to give him 3 years was insane. And we're not going to be able to get rid of him. We're going to be stuck with him. So I don't understand the way it's working. Felix here said, but as fans, at least we are starting to point our hurt in the right places. And I agree with that. I think people are starting to say now, look, as much as Arteta is not appearing to be the guy, we realize now there's a much bigger picture than him. And overall, we need change from the top to bottom.
That's it, man. Like you said, that's it. That's fully it. And that's the thing, man. If we are to make this move happen, it's not that we've got to look beyond Arteta and disregard what's going on. But it's like, I just feel Arsenal fans need to get out of their egos. There's a lot of fans that were never for Arteta. So, they just want to point the blame there. There's a lot of men that, loved Arteta until the cows come home. So they'll afford a lot of collectives and they'll focus on the wrong parts. We need to just come together. Consider that he clearly might need to move on, to put it nicely for him, and get the man at the top out. But how do we get the man at the top out? Because again, we say the things like no merchandise, no tickets and things. We all know that other people are going to buy them. We need something else. I don't have the answers, but we need to. We really need to, because we're staring down the face of relegation, bro. Games aren't getting any easier. And, Arsenal is much what we've known for years, in that we're a facade. We're a facade of a once former big club. We hide behind, where we're riding off our previous clout and credit. We're still using it to this day. If we didn't win a couple Premier League titles, do we get Aubameyang and Partey and these sort of guys? If we didn't have those French players excelling, do we get these players? No. So, well, we need to get the Kroenkes out, man. We need to. We're not asking for him to do the most, but he's not doing enough, man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, bruv. Like, it's just how we do it. We just have to, put ideas together and try and start something. You know what's crazy, bruv? Growing up, my dad's a Liverpool fan. And when we used to talk about football and stuff, I used to say, do you know what? All you ever do is talk about history when you bring up Liverpool. I used to laugh at him all the time. Now I'm doing the same thing. If I have an argument about Arsenal, I end up talking about Vieira and Henry and Tony Adams. I can't even talk about these current players. Have we been overtaken by, I'm looking more at maybe Leicester. Leicester, I think, have finished above us last year. They're likely to finish above us this year. They've won the league in the past 5 years. Have they now overtaken us in that so-called Big Six? Like, we might be historically the Big Six, but are we no longer in that Big Six in the Premier League?
I mean, right now, like you said, we're just relying off the historic and the credit on the back. But if you was to place a bet, who's more likely to win league titles? Who's more likely to finish ahead of who? Like you said, it's Leicester. Leicester are a more attractive position than us. People looked at Jamie Vardy like he was a madman for rejecting
Yeah,
Arsenal. Why? And now look, now again, I do think Vardy rejected us for slightly different reasons. You know,
yeah,
he enjoyed Leicester and, you know, the age he's at and the contract and the way Arsenal were more likely to do things. But like you said, you know, if you're Leicester, you know, you expect to finish above Arsenal. You expect to beat Arsenal over 2 games. We're only relying off previous clout. You know, Leicester's there. Everton are probably going to finish above us if we continue like this. Wolves and Everton are 2 clubs, you know, looking to dismantle us from this whole debate full time. So 100%, bro. Like we're not the team like that over 38 games. We're not in with nothing serious. We might, with all due respect, we might beat a United or beat another big team and have a little banter moment on Twitter, but that's like one moment out of 38. Yeah, bro. Like, yeah, bro.
it's
Even
mad, isn't
that.
it? Do you know the thing? I wrote down a little thing here, right? Because everyone's saying the team, you know, the team, and I get it. There are a lot of players that need to be moved on. But I'm looking here, I'm just imagining if we played a 4-3-3, right? You'd have Leno in goal, Tierney left back, Gabriel. Arguably, you'd like to see Saliba at centre back. You know, why not? Ainsley, I thought, was superb the other day. He kept Richarlison quiet. He won a penalty. He puts that great ball across the 6-yard box at the end of the game. Like, why is Lacazette not breaking his neck to tap that in? I don't know. In midfield, really, we've only got Thomas Partey. We probably need 2 centre mids to play next to him. Up front, you've got Aubameyang. Martinelli's back. You've got Saka as well. You've also got Pepe. We're arguably there 2 or 3 players in the starting lineup from having a team that I would say that can compete. I'm not saying it would get top 4, but it's a good team. You know, so you think to yourself, why was more not done in the summer? People keep telling me, oh, we need a big January. And I'm like, when do you see teams have a big January in terms of numbers, getting 4 or 5 out, 4 or 5 in? It's not likely to happen. So are we a million miles away from having a team that's capable of competing?
I don't necessarily think so. I think a lot of these players need to go, clearly, but the players you named and obviously a couple others, they're decent and they can be part of the building block. I do think we could get into a situation in a sense of where it's almost a thing where we need to talk about depth. I therefore agree with you. Where I think more so than anything, it's the mentality. I agree. Mainly, I think the only really pressing area would probably be for me a centre midfield or 2. I would like to see defense sorted, probably right back as well. But I think mainly mentality. Before we talk about transfers, I think it's just mentality, and I don't know if it can change because a couple of these men been managed under a couple players still. So managers, apologies. So like you said, we're a couple things short, but we love this reactive thing. You mentioned a lot of players in January. We like to do that. Remember the whole fiasco with Alexis going and Aubameyang, and was there not a deadline day in one of the 2 windows where it was Benayoun and Mertesacker? We are reactive, bro. This is us. Like, we're not gonna have no big January. I just hope we address certain areas, man.
For me, I think the one that's screaming out to get bought is Buendia. And I thought he was good last year, but I was still like, is it a 1-season wonder? And the team are bottom of the league. There's no real pressure, but I think his numbers last year were really good, and he's producing in the Championship, which is a very difficult league to play in. He's 23. You know, I just think for me, it's a no-brainer. I don't think he would cost more than 20, 25 million. If we can't go and pull a player from Norwich, then we're in serious trouble, aren't we, really?
And it all comes down to the thing is, like you said, it was difficult to pull him. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, 2025, I'm with you. You know, he can play in a couple of roles as well. But it's like Norwich are trying to get promoted.
Yeah.
Are they good? They could just say no. Like they could just say no to us, and you could say Arsenal seeing, all right, cool. Like you mentioned playing well. He played well at weekend. I think they won 2-0, him and Cantwell. We should go and pull that. But realistically, you know, we should have other targets because this is what's going to happen. We did it with Szoboszlai. We did it with Aouar. They're going to make the fans put all their eggs in the basket, start doing the mock formations and not get him. We need several targets, bro. I would love Buendia. I think we've got to go do that or go for a lesser profile of a name. Like, I don't really want the names we're being linked with necessarily in that role.
Would you take a chance on Isco?
Loan thing,
Yeah,
and we can't even do that because I swear we've got Ceballos. I just feel we should stay. Not that Isco isn't good, is a bad player. Like he might, he might do the James Rodriguez thing where he goes Everton, people are doubting him, he plays all right. But I just feel with us, these sort of things, signing potential players like people like Pepe, where we're saying they're going to be elite, doesn't work. So I think we
yeah.
should stay clear from not from the experience thing, but people in the situations like the Iscos and the Ericssons and stuff. I would take Ericsson on loan if it got to it, but in terms of a permanent operation, I think we should allow it.
Yeah. No, we definitely got to get some work done in January. One thing again on the weekend, they changed it to 9 substitutes that you can have on the bench. Once again, no Saliba, no Balogun on the bench. Now, I'm not saying that either one of them are a solution to our problems, but they can surely help a situation. You could put Saliba in there, he might have a few good games. The pressure's a little bit less now. I don't think Arsenal fans' expectation is the same now. Certainly for me, I'm just kind of watching it and just hoping for the best in the Premier League. Why are those two guys not involved? What do you think is going off with those two?
I'll always, to be fair, I always believe on one hand, a manager is seeing them what they're doing in training and is allowed to run the rule. But at the same time, my actual opinion is I don't know, bro. It's you mentioned 2 players. If me and you go through the whole squad, there's probably a couple names we could say what's happening there, what's happening there. When there's too many of that screams to me we don't know what we're doing. It's like, especially with these young players like Saliba and the rest of them, because we always do this thing as Arsenal fans. We know they've got potential, but we go years on years on years. Are they midfielders? Are they wingers? Whatever. Like the potential never gets realized. Again, I don't see proactive planning. You mentioned Balogun, and there's talk of signing a new deal. If you look at it, for as much as your manager or the first team manager's talking about you being, a good player and he wants to keep you, you've played 61 minutes. You've seen that the top striker in your team, goals or not, is injured and he's not involved. You're seeing someone who's your age mate and Eddie not performing. Like you said, 9 subs now. You're not even on the bench. I think that tells you all you need to be known, whether to stay here or not if things continue. I don't understand, bro. Like even Nelson, is he still injured? Apparently there's rumors he's the 19th sub. Surely he could have given something. I don't know what's going on, man.
It's a worrying situation. Obviously, Balogun's being linked with Liverpool in January. And to me, I could see that situation happening because there's talk of Origi being moved on. And Klopp, I think he would give him an opportunity. There aren't too many strikers at Liverpool if you look at it. And if I was Balogun and Arteta's not giving me a chance even when Aubameyang's injured, why would you not go to Liverpool and take a chance, So I just don't get the management of certain situations. I think even when things are difficult, try and pull something positive out of it. Imagine if Balogun blew up all of a sudden, or Saliba was a revelation at the back next to Gabriel. You find little situations that you can, take positives from, but it's just sticking with the same old players all the time, and it's just bewildering at times, man. Obviously, looking ahead, we've got Manchester City tomorrow. I'm sure you'll have a preview. I'll do a preview as well, but what do you think about this game? Do you think Arteta will go full strength, or do you think he'll mix it up a little bit, play some of the Europa League players?
To be honest, bro, I don't have a clue, man. I think he'll stick to more of the same just because of fear of an embarrassment. I think he'll stick to some experienced players. The bigger one is clearly Chelsea because we just need 3 points. I think he's got to name a strong line, man. I would love to see the young players given a chance. If they get destroyed, they get destroyed. Everyone can consider that. We all understand the logic of not throwing in young players and going with the more experienced ones. But it's the experienced ones that are hiding. It's the Ceballos, it's the El Nenes, it's the Xhakas, it's the Bellerins, it's the several defenders. What have the young players got to lose? And I always personally mention playing for yourself. If you can't play for the club, play for yourself. Have some self-respect. I don't see that. If Balogun, let's just be cynical, and I'm not saying this to get at Balogun or anything and say he's like this, but let's just say you're Balogun, you got no intention on this earth of signing a new deal at Arsenal, but you get a start. You're going to think, yo, I scored, there's a couple more zeros on whatever contract I go to or what more interested clubs. You're going to play well. Saka wants to play well. Nelson wants to play well. You ain't giving Maitland-Niles too many chances. So I'd start to play them. Even someone like Cedric, I don't have much expectation of Cedric. I just think give these players who are being starved opportunities. Now, if they don't do the job, then me and you will not say we're confused, we're surprised. But I don't understand it, man. I really don't. I'd play the young players, like you said, and you said a great word I'm going to start using, a revelation. Let's just say, so like you said, Saliba played well, or Nelson did a little thing, or Balogun did a little thing. There'll be something to hang on to. And that's what I don't understand with Arteta, bro, because you're hearing all of these rumors about player bust up. Half of them are experienced players. At least if you get these young players, you can kind of mold them to have a sense of loyalty to Balogun might, you were the guy gave me my chance, and the many other examples. So I don't understand anything that's going on, bro. Like, it's everything you're asking me and we're talking about with Arsenal, the sentence is ending with, I don't understand, Curtis. Like,
Yeah,
I don't get it.
That's it, bro. It's mad. Over 1,200 of you in here right now. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to Deluded's channel as well. Smash the like as well. Let me just quickly get into these 2 super chats. Alex says, Cavani, Van der Beek, Pogba, Greenwood. This was United's bench yesterday. 1 year ago, they were in the same position as us with no squad depth. Look how good signings can change. Man United things that it's difficult to compare to them. They just got so much money to spend. Would you have some trust in the board and Arteta if come January they put a lot of our useless players up for sale? Listen, I'm sure they were trying to sell a lot of these players in the summer. You could put the whole squad up for sale. Who's going to buy them? That's the issue.
Facts, bro. Like you said, bro. Like who's gonna go for them? It's like we've been trying to sell them. I'm not gonna praise you for selling Xhaka or Socrates or many of the players. You should have been trying to get them. So it's like you said, can't praise anyone for doing basic stuff.
I always remember when Man United had Van Gaal and they were struggling. They had a few injuries. Rashford starts against us, scores a couple in the Europa League. They said, I don't think he'll play against Arsenal. He started him and scored 2, and the story is born. I've got this feeling about Balogun, and I could be wrong. I've always felt it with this guy. I just think this kid's going to be a star somewhere. And we don't, for every Serge Gnabry situation, there's a Jeremy Ali-Adier that doesn't work. So it's not to say that he will be a star, but why not give him a chance? We know what Eddie Nketiah is capable of. We see it every time he plays. Aubameyang's injured. Clearly, he's not a big fan of Lacazette. I would have loved to have seen Balogun start against Everton or at least be on the bench. So I just don't understand why a guy that was such a progressive coach, worked with so many young players at Manchester City, has become the manager, and he's just sticking with these same experienced players who aren't really doing anything.
Fear. Absolutely fear. Fear. It's fear. What else can it do? It's fear. It's fear and panic. When your back's against, at the end of the day, whether Arteta wins, lose, or draws, or this is a success or failure, your job is always on the line as a manager. Your reputation's always on the line, or I'd hope so. So if I place myself in his shoes, I'm only going to put out an 11 on a Saturday, Sunday, whatever, that I believe can get a result. So there's got to, and so obviously, like you said, young players, we're not always at training. We don't always know what's happening, but if you play any player that crosses that chalk, that means you believe in them. You're ready to face the music. Me and you are talking week in, week out about Willian. Like, me and you know he needs to get dropped. In fact, even Arteta dropped him the game before. But there's got to be a reason he's still playing. And I can only think fear. You only do that out of fear. In an ideal world, we shouldn't have even played Martinelli against Everton. You only bring him on and rely on him for 20 minutes out of fear. You only play Partey considering his injuries against Spurs out of fear, just fear and panic. You only cross the ball against teams that are bigger than you and can defend better than you out of fear. All of this is out of fear. And when you're in tough moments, it comes down to having courage. Because like Wenger perfectly said, you've got to justify why that young player isn't doing a job. But it's that, man. It's fear, bro. It's fully fear.
I think you're right, because ultimately, as an inexperienced manager, he's probably looking at it going, do you know what? I need these experienced players on side. The young players can't really turn a dressing room upside down, so I'm going to stick by these players. Sebastian with a super chat says, big up you guys. I think Arteta is done, but in any case, the club is not set up to win like Man United. Nothing will ever change with Kroenke at the helm, sadly. I do agree with what you're saying there. This club is not set up to win, and we haven't been set up to win for a long time, unfortunately. This is the problem with this owner. Can you imagine if we had an owner like Abramovich or the Man City owners? We would be unbelievable if we had money and ambition. It's just crazy. We're talking about Willian, and again, he dropped a shocker again at the weekend. Not one completed cross, not one take on. Lazy on the Iwobi cross, didn't even want to chase him down. On the other wing, I have to admit, I've been a very big defender of Pepe. I always felt there was something there. Something's going to happen with him. I see Ben Godfrey playing left back. I'm thinking, this is a centre back playing out of position. You should go to work today, Pepe. To me, did absolutely nothing in that game apart from the penalty, which was a good penalty. But are we now looking at Pepe and saying, this guy's been a flop, like considering the price we paid for him as well?
Now, I'm always gonna. I still think Pepe is decent. I think his stats compared to the mediocre ones at our club are still decent, but ultimately it's not good enough. You know, it's the on the flanks on Saturday was just the two evils. You know, you've got someone who hides in Willian, and you've got the incredibly frustrating Pepe. We're still talking about the same things about Pepe. You know, the decision making. That's the annoying thing. It's just the decision making. And you was killing me on your last live stream when you was like, he took a shot and the ball probably dropped it. He's probably just landed at Anfield. You was killing me with that one.
I'm telling you, bro.
Well, we have to. It is that, you know, you've got Pepe, who's probably a 30-40 million pound player, mismanaged for him, and we've got a coach who, you know, we heard Sane, Sterling, all of these sort of things. And then he's not doing nothing with Pepe, but you have to question Pepe's mentality because we all know Arteta's doing him dirty. He could have a run of games and all of these things, but it comes down to what you're doing. You know, you've played enough games now. Before Arsenal, you've played enough games to know what you need to do to get to the next level. If you're doing it in training and it's not working out, fair play. But I just don't think he's doing enough. I don't know if he's reviewing his games enough. He's just not showing any greater maturity. And I do think we would see a bit more in him because as much as I think he was poor, and I share your opinions against Everton, why is it only our wingers that are receiving the ball on the halfway line? Like, it kills me. It's like they know what Pepe is gonna do.
It's horrible, bro. You want to see him in and around the penalty area, but it's crazy, man. Like I just think again, it's all the planning with Arsenal. Like when you pay £72 million for a player, for me, they should be the finished article or extremely close to it. Let's be honest. Pepe had just had one breakthrough season in the French league at a team that was not notoriously one of the top teams in France. So I don't think he was even ready to be bought for those kind of numbers. And then when you do bring him in, you have to have that platform. Number one, he had a very good partnership with the right back at Lille. Number two, they were a counter-attacking side. You look at a lot of his goals, they were almost more central than on the touchline. So we're not even playing Pepe the same way that he thrived under. So it's no coincidence that so many attacking players are struggling at Arsenal this season.
And it's like you said, it comes down to the tactics. As much as I feel, you know, we can be it. Pepe has to take all the criticisms because once he steps over that line, it's him who plays. And there's many frustrations with how he plays. But the team isn't set up. You mentioned he's a counter-attacking player. There's not too many times we're even counter-attacking with intent. One thing I'll give him, he runs into space. They don't hit him. Like, what's the point? It's like you said, you know, you either sign a player, which I agree with you. You only go for these men if they're in the finished article, you know, unless it's a Kylian Mbappe thing where he's a young one, but he's born to kick football. You don't do that. Or you at least, if you know he's got to develop and he's rough around edges, you make sure there's a system or there's a development plan. And it kind of goes into what we're saying about Saliba and the rest of them in that you're signing man with no potential, but no planning. It's not
crazy.
making sense, fam.
Yeah, everything that goes off, you know, it's mind-boggling at times. This Arsenal system and how they plan things. Obviously, Edu and Arsenal have come out and said they're going to support him in the January window. You know, it doesn't look like they're going to get rid of him. What do you think needs to happen? You know, at least in January to give us a little bit of a chance of some sort of improvement.
Well, they've got to act quick. Like I said in the last show, bro, the minute the last window in the summer ended, we should have had our planning in place in what we're going to do in the summer. So they need to get it right. You know, what you would like to see in an ideal world, and I don't think it's going to come, you know, do a decent window so that we can just blame Arteta. We can just blame Arteta now. There's many things he's done.
Oh, he's gone. There you go. Saw him. He froze as well. He'll be back on in a minute. Internet playing up. But yeah, this January transfer window, man, Edu needs to seriously step up and bring us some decent players in. Let me read these super chats while Deluded sorts his internet. I Am King says, big up Big C and Deluded. Man should give away the name Deluded to DT and Ty. I think with a better manager, we'd see what Pepe is really about. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, it's all about styles of football, man. You put you put players in the right system and they can thrive in it. You put them in a system that doesn't work for them, ultimately they're going to struggle. So I agree. If we had a manager that actually, had a better setup, I think it would work a lot better if we did play that fast counter-attacking football. London Gamer says, hold on, sorry, that's come on. He said Arsenal need 300 million spent ASAP. Deluded's back.
Bro, you know how it gets. You talk about
back,
Arsenal too much. Yeah, I'm back. You talk about Arsenal too much,
internet,
and Edu and them man,
off, man
mash up your thing.
I said that hard Wi-Fi,
Liz, I was talking too much, and Edu said, "Yeah, you think you can do your little thing on YouTube? Forget about it, mate."
I'm telling you, man. You know what these men are on. Do you know what? I just want to get that comment back up because he made a great point. A man said, Deluded should give away the name Deluded to DT and Ty.
I see that a lot, man.
I bet enough people must listen to you and say, bro, how come you call yourself Deluded, man? Obviously, we know it's ironic, but it really goes against your level of footballing knowledge, don't it?
It really does, man. It really does. Like almost, it's too late to change, man. I think about it all the time. Like I didn't plan on it, but we have to just run with it now, man.
The people Deluded intro, mate. That's unrivaled, man. You can't.
Don't tell me you're one of them as well, bro.
Bro, trust me, man. People Deluded. I'm
back again. This guy, you're gonna kill me.
Legendary, man. I'm telling you. Tom said, how is Pepe meant to shine when our manager is killing his confidence? He does the same to Lacazette. When they have a good game, he takes them off. He has his favourites. He seems to bring him off every game. I mean, I don't think he played well on the weekend, but he was playing better than Willian, At least he was trying to make something happen. I said the intro is hard, fam. Curtis, who of real quality is available in January? Listen, I always say, often the players you sign, they're not actively available. It's for you to make their situation uncomfortable for everybody. That's how players get dragged out of clubs. A big club comes in, makes an offer. All of a sudden, he's not training as well. He puts in a poor performance and the club start thinking twice. You know how it goes, man. These big clubs, you have to bully players out of clubs sometimes, man. Big up Broads, man. Everyone go and subscribe to him as well. He said, systems are everything. We've seen players leave Arsenal and go to teams that suit them better and they win major trophies. It happens, man. It happens. Systems, it affects all of it. As we were saying before you went off, January, what would you like to see happen? What do you think we can do realistically? You'd like maybe what positions would you like to see addressed?
Well, I know maybe asking for 2 centre mids is punching, but a centre mid. We know it's not going to be the hours and these things. I'd love it to be that. I'd stand by being proven wrong, but centre mid first. Well, you keep hearing the talk around we want a centre back and things, so go out and solve it. Like I'm tired of having a window and talking about a centre half. So if that's what the club want to do, then go for that. But for me, a midfielder or two wouldn't hurt. And I would like us to sign a thingy as well, man. I'd like us to actually assess what we're doing at fullback as well, personally. And a creative midfielder.
So we need a bit. We need a little bit, even in this window. What do you think about Ainsley? Do you think Ainsley can run at right back until the end of the season? Or because I thought, look, that defensive performance on the weekend, I don't think Bellerin has played like that for a long time. I thought Ainsley looked very assured at right back.
I think what I like about Maitland now is like I'd rather overconfidence than no confidence, because then it's just a case of trying to fix that. I don't think, to a degree, you can make someone confident. You can inspire it some of the time, like Arteta initially did, but you can't. The problem is, does Maitland-Niles want it? I think he's accepted he's a right back. At this moment in time, I would rather give him the run of the goal at fullback than Bellerin. If Maitland-Niles does the same stuff that Bellerin's doing, we'll revise it. But I definitely think until the end of the summer, if we're not going to bring one in, we should run him there, really and truly. And it's a thing that needs to be decided, because I think Arteta's moving way too ambiguous with Maitland-Niles. He keeps talking his strengths about midfield and then fullback. We just need to know what you want to do with him.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. Ainsley, for me, I think he deserves a run in the team. For me, he's earned it now, I think he's sat there patiently. We've never heard him publicly moan. He clearly cares about the football club. give him a chance. If Arteta continues with his favoritism, it will ultimately cost him. Looking ahead, I know we do this all the time, and it never seems to work.
I know what's coming. It's the infamous points business, isn't it?
It's the infamous points business, man. I'm just looking ahead. Do you know what? You always make predictions, and I think, bro, that's too low, and then we don't even get that. Like, I see a thing. We're actually joint bottom in the Premier League on form in the last 5 games. 1 point out of 5 games with Sheffield United, who were bottom. I mean, how this manager's surviving, I'll never know, but that's a whole other discussion. So obviously we've got Man City tomorrow, Carabao Cup, and then we've got Chelsea, and then we've got Brighton. That sees out the year. Give me your predictions for them next 3. What do you think?
Bro, what predictions against Chelsea? I want to be wrong, but you can only see a defeat. Every game we walk into, you can see a defeat because we're not seeing anything to suggest anything different. Lost to City, lost to Chelsea. Brighton away scares me, or wherever we're playing Brighton. They're infamous for beating us. What is Brighton away, right? I'm pretty sure
Brighton's away.
Since I encourage people to go and look at Brighton's home stats since they actually or statistics full stop at home since they played us, since they beat us at home. I'm scared of them. So loss. I can't see anything else. I want to be wrong. L's, man. Just L's. They're coming left, right, and center. Bro, we're cheering on a point. We are cheering on coming from behind and having a point.
Oh, my God.
L's. Just bare L's. When they show me something different, I'll say different.
We can't even beat Brighton on the beach, bro. We're moving mad. You can just see in it. Danny Welbeck's going to terrorize us, man. We can see it already. Oh, man. Big up Turkey, she said. Better than Bellerin. Yes, good enough. Nope. That's what he's talking about Ainsley there. I think the thing with Ainsley, look, he had that year when Hector Bellerin was out, and for me, he never grabbed that situation with both hands. That's the thing that kind of I felt disappointed with him. I thought there were some good performances there, but he never really showed that he's going to be a top quality right back, I'm King said, what you think about Sanson from Marseille could sit in that number 8? I don't know much about him. I've heard of him. I don't know enough. Do you know much about him?
I'm not religiously informed with him, but he's a decent player. He's been on the French scene for a while. Wasn't he linked with us for a free transfer a couple of years ago? He's fairly tidy in the middle of the park, but that's where it ends for me, really. Like, someone more informed is going to have to drop that opinion.
Yeah. So this Man City game tomorrow, obviously, Carabao Cup. For me, I think it's a difficult one because, I'm reading Aguero's back. Even their fringe players, I saw a suspected 11. I seen Bernardo Silva, Foden. It still looks like a top quality team that they'll have out. I mean, it could be a big confidence booster for Arsenal, but, no Aubameyang, no Partey. I know Gabriel's back. You just can't see any way how we can win that game.
Bro, it's like you said, and it kills me, bro. I can't add on to what you said. You can't see how you can win it. The only way you can win that is self-belief, believing that beyond all the odds you can actually do something. And when you look at these boys, do they look at people who want victory as much as they want to breathe? Do they look as people who are like soldiers in the trenches? The mentality is not there. So City will continue what they're doing. I can only see Raheem Sterling scoring. You know how the script goes when we play City. I want to be wrong. I want to look back at this and say I should have had more faith. But an L, man, City have not, by City's own standards, they haven't even been the most confident. So maybe Pep saying go out and put a statement. Hopefully Pep allows his guy and says, you know what, you're older, win, you're under pressure. Let me allow you and you lot win. But L, man, L smacked up, embarrassing. It's crazy.
Do you know what? Now I'm looking at it, right? Obviously, Man City, I think, have dropped points in their last 2 games, drew with West Brom and Man United. I'm almost thinking now. I'm looking at this game.
Southampton.
It could be they beat Southampton. I think it could be a heavy one tomorrow. I feel like I don't think Pep's going to do him any favors at all. I think Aguero's back. He always scores against us when he plays. They literally win the Carabao Cup nearly every season, Manchester City. I think we could be hiding behind the sofa tomorrow watching this game. I'm telling you, I think it could be a bad one. Aubameyang's not back either as well. So what would your team be tomorrow? Give me a lineup before we begin to wrap.
Lineup. This
Would you play Saliba? Saliba's available tomorrow. Would you bring him in for that?
Probably not. I'd probably
No.
not. Admittedly, not. I'd probably, you know what? I'd probably go back three. Tierney left back. I mean, left centre half. David Luiz gets in there for me, and Gabriel's back from suspension, right?
He's
So
back.
that's the
Yeah,
back.
yeah, he's available.
Yeah, Sacco play left back, right back Maitland-Niles. Midfield is where I have the biggest problem. Like, I'd probably go Martinelli on the left, Lacazette up front, and you know what? I'm actually going to just go with Sacco on the right, but I understand if Pepe played because he's got more experience. Midfield is where I have the problems because
who do you play? It's like 3 rotten apples in a bag, and you got to pick one out. They're all a mess. You know what I mean?
Trust me.
And then he went back into hiding. Ceballos is just playing some mad kind of football, and Joe Willock. I mean, Joe, I don't know with that guy either. It's literally, I don't even know which 2 you pick out of them, honestly.
Bro, like there's a lot of talk of Maitland now centre mid, and then obviously you could put Cedric in, but it goes back to what you said earlier, what we said about bravery. I don't think Arteta's going to go into this game and think, maybe let me do a fear of the unknown thing. Maybe let me try something unpredictable, like a midfield partnership, like throwing a Balogun or Smith Rowe or a Saliba in there. I think he's gonna look at it and think, yo, experience wins it really. I can't see anything changing. It's like you said, the midfield kills me, you know. Like Joe Willock just seems like a guy who might be a decent squad player, but he needs coaching more than anything, you know. People praise effort and running about and high intensity. I praise that too. But on the other hand, are you really praising a professional footballer for doing that, or a centre midfielder for running about a lot? Surely there's a problem, you know. There might be something in him.
I've said this so many times, bro. In football, no matter what level, I can't remember ever a manager coming up to me and saying, "You worked hard today." Like that, it's just that's just bog standard. Like if you're gonna start praising people for working hard, then for me, I don't know what's happening in the game. Like, who would you play up front tomorrow?
Lacazette. I'll probably go Lacazette. Balogun bench. Lacazette up front.
Martinelli
has to be.
What do you think this like kind of? Why do you think Arteta likes Eddie and Nketiah so much? Because I just can't see what he likes so much about this guy.
Like with Eddie, you know, I've got to the point where I give hell. I know Eddie's a bit of a scapegoat at times, but for me, I can't see it. Like you said, whether it's Europa League or the league, you know, we're talking about the pressing and not taking chances. But I just have to look at the manager now. I'm not looking at the player anymore. It's like you've got to be seeing something in training, or you've got to consider whatever system you're trying to deploy on a Saturday, Sunday, whatever, that he's more of a fit. And I don't get it. For me, okay, cool. Lacazette's not being playing amazing. You tried a thing with Eddie in the week against Southampton. Apart from the goal, what did he do? I mean, the assist, what did he do? I don't understand. I don't get it because he's too easy. It's like a boy against men. He don't press. He's passive. His decision-making when given him ain't good enough. He might turn out to be a decent striker. He's only 21, but right now it's not looking like it's going to happen here.
I just, you know what, one thing I was really looking forward to with Arteta, I thought, you know what, he's going to pull out some of these young players with this coaching. You've worked with Pep. Pep likes playing young players as well. You know, I look at, since Arteta's come in, you know, Nelson, Willock, and Nketiah. Obviously, Balogun's not really playing. Saliba hasn't played. He hasn't really improved any young player at the club. You know, you could say Saka. I'm not going to take the Saka one away from him, but I feel like Saka was on that kind of elevation anyway. But I will give him some credit because, you know, he has played him. But why has he not improved any young players since he's been here?
It's coming down to, at the same time, I think players have got to take chances, and you've got to show your manager you're ready to take chances, because Eddie's got to have done something initially because it was going fairly right for him. But at the same time, I think it comes down to scaredness. You know, you can talk about players until you're blue in the face. You can say they're working hard, but when the pressure's on, you're not playing them. You're not playing them. And I think the players have got to show stuff, but I don't think I got to the point, maybe Arteta and young players is overrated. Maybe it's overstated. Maybe us as fans, we had this sort of thing that he was going to come here and do that. Maybe he's never been about that. Because when I look at Sane and Sterling, yeah, they're young, but it's like they played significant Premier League football and were just like little diamonds. It weren't like fresh out of the academy and whatnot. So maybe he's overrated with young players. That's what I'm looking at.
No, I think you're right. And look, at the end of the day, if somebody says to you, if Pep says to Mikel, we go and work with them two, you know, one-on-one for the next few weeks, Sane had played Champions League. He cost 35 million. Sterling was one of the record
50 million at the time, innit?
50 million pound winger. They weren't babies. Like, they had mad talent already. You just kind of added a few little things to the game to help them. When you're the actual manager and you got all these problems to deal with, it's not easy to go and work with players individually. Even his assistant, like, can someone explain to me why that brother's wearing headphones?
Bro, I just about to say that man got their headphones.
Bro, he's not even wearing earpods. Man's at Arsenal wearing wired headphones. I'm like, yo, is this guy listening to Christmas music or something?
Yeah, man. He's listening to the Psalms and whatnot, man. He's trying to put himself in a praise for us, man. He's trying. Apparently, there was even one of these assistants getting mad at El Nene. That's one of the rumors surfacing on Twitter. I don't know what these guys are on. I really don't.
I saw that El Nene, man. Even like you said, Louise was vexed, man. I think. What did you make of Louise not getting the armband? I was shocked that Rob Holding was captain.
I think it tells us, like, it kind of, I'm not going to say it confirms these rumors, but it confirms maybe they don't see eye to eye. You heard sometimes Luis feels he's been fit and not been in the squad. I look at the City game is when I first thought, okay, there's something there, because obviously, ironically, Luis played because Holding got injured, but he wasn't scheduled. I personally think David Luiz, based on that game, Arteta, you owe him your life, because we hear Luiz is being a bad influence and stuff, and we all know he's not everybody's cup of tea. But at the that threw me off. But yeah, we all know he's not our cup of tea. But at the same time, we heard a lot of discontent. David Luiz could have been one of these players that thought, I don't like this manager. Let me play poor. He's one of the only players that could have left that last game with any credibility, based on that. So I think he owes him his life, but I think it confirms what we already know. In that, probably David Luiz is beefing him. But I think it also kind of shows maybe where Holding's seen in the squad and the elevation of Holding, whether we like it or not. As you said in your last stream, he's gone from going to Newcastle to, being captain, playing on a regular basis. So I think it's shown maybe Holding's increased stature. Maybe Holding's one of the guys that believe in him, because we hear it's fractured. But I think it just tells David Luiz and him are fractured right now.
Do you know what? Like, I won't question Rob Holding's attitude, because I think he has got a good attitude. I think he is committed. I don't think he's good enough. I would have sold him to Newcastle. And I felt like, do you know what? I felt like Calvert-Lewin, he caused him big problems, man. Do you know what? Calvert-Lewin, for me, is one of the most improved strikers in the Premier League. 23 years of age, England international. He's come through the lower leagues as well. So he's got that kind of physical, he's got that fight about him as well. But he's just, the quality has improved so much under Carlo Ancelotti. And I think what you said was damning at the start of the show. I thought that was a poor Everton performance. That was not a strong Everton team. They had 3 or 4 big players missing. Luca Digny, the left back, Alan and James Rodriguez. And what we always say with Arsenal, we kind of just beat ourselves in games, Yerry Mina, 6'5", Pepe's marking from a corner. Like, what do you expect to happen? Like, who is making these basic decisions, bruv? Like, at the club, I don't get it.
Surely that's on the that's where I think you have to put it on the manager, because again, Pepe needs to fix up. The players should have game management. You've got yourself back in the game at that period because of a lucky circumstance. You should switch on going into half time. In fact, I think that corner actually came because Leno had to make a good save, because we're getting hit on the counter time and time again. And I think Calvert-Lewin hit a left foot shot. So the thought process, why are you letting your man run? He's, Mina is one of the best headers in that team. If you're not talking about Calvert-Lewin and the rest of them, there's quite a few. Why are you letting him get a run and get elevation? But at the same time, it's management. Clearly, Pepe's been told to mark him. So what's going on there? It doesn't make sense. You yourself have criticized Pepe's defensive output. So why are you going to give him one of the hardest tasks in the team? You have praised Williams' defensive output. So justify, what you said earlier about not closing down the man. It's not making any sense. And again, it just screams extremely reactive, bro. It's not making sense. There's no plan. And for me, what's annoyed me in the last 2 games, 3 games, excluding the Southampton one, Burnley, why did that Burnley goal happen where Aubameyang's own goal? They've got Chris Wood on the keeper, and you've got, I believe, Hector Bellerin marking him. Against Everton, look at the keeper. Michael Keane and Mason Holgate are on the keeper. You've got Littleman marking him. It's not making sense. Teams have sussed us out, man. It's crazy.
Bruv, and this has been happening since last year. Tottenham away, Kieran Tierney marking Alderweireld, can't get near him in the ear. It's just mind-boggling. And you only see these kind of things happen at Arsenal. Like, we are actually banter FC right now. Like, we're moving like a comedy.
We're vibes. We're just vibes.
If we do lose them next 3 games, obviously I hope we don't, but it doesn't look good. Do you think the board will be forced into a situation where they go, do you know what? This is getting out of hand. Like, because I remember when Emery was struggling, I remember a similar thing happening. They came out, we're going to back him. Ralstonelli was saying it. And there were even rumours that Emery was going to be offered a longer contract at one point. And then they changed, Do you think if we lost them next 3, they'd be forced to get rid of him?
They'd have to, man. I mean, the pressure is going to be. On one hand, I don't think anything will happen, because to you and me, we think that because we've got high expectations. What more is going to change? What more is going to change that shouldn't have changed weeks before against several teams? So I can't see it. But at the same time, the world needs a fool guy. I don't think Arteta can cover himself with any blades of glory, because the things he can control, once again, he's made mistakes. But we need a fool guy. Someone's got to answer for something. When Kroenke comes calling, if he ever does, because he's going to see the team in the red, someone's got to answer for that. Edu, as much as he's going to say, F that, I ain't losing my job. Arteta, and Arteta knows this. And this is why when I see things like the Ozil thing, when we don't hear about Saliba, when we don't hear certain things, the job you're coming into, but I can't understand why you're potentially condoning it, because ultimately this is going to be where you live or die by. You can tell us the inner secrets after it, but it's crazy. And, if we lose the next 3 games, we're out, man. Like I said, Arteta's even on thin ice. He might not make it out of this year, depending on what things happen. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that to happen to Arteta. We've not got much faith in him right now, but we don't want that. But it's going to have to happen. It's like, and then, like you said at the start, and what Turkish is actually big on as well, and he needs to find a way for us to do it. Get the man at the top at the club, because like we said, you said Emery, I could say Arteta, we could say many of these players. Even if we get new players, what's going to change? We need people gone, man. It's crazy. We need to get him out.
The crazy thing is, like, I don't think Arteta's the right manager. The reason I'm not, like, really going for it about getting him out is because I don't think they'll replace him adequately. I just don't. I don't think they will. Arteta's on 6 million a year, so you've got to pay him up to leave. If you want a Poch and Allegri, someone like that, they're going to be on 10 million a year. You've then got to give them the wage, the signing on fee. You got to sack Arteta's staff. You got to bring the new staff in. It's January. He wants money. They're not going to put that kind of money down. To me, it would be probably Per Mertesacker as interim. And, you might even see Edu pull some Brazilian Donny in to come and manage the club from Corinthians or something. So, listen, man, as much as I want the manager gone, I don't know if the solutions are there with this board. If we had a proper board, sack him, go and get Poch, go and build the team properly, give him new players. But where we are is where we are, I suppose. But listen, bro, I want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to wrap up now. Obviously, we're going to do something on your channel on Wednesday. So people look out for that. Over 1,800 of you in here now. Make sure you subscribe to Deluded's channel. It's just gone past 30K. Big up on that. Subscribe to mine. I think I'm about 300 off 20K. See if you can get me there today. And you got any shows coming up today or anything?
No, man, I've done my live stream for today, so like check out any of that. Probably got some clips I'll clip up of it in little segments and stuff like the preview, but other than that, there's nothing. I want to mention that, you said you're almost on 20,000. Come on, man, there's 1,000 of you in here. I'm pretty sure not all of you have found out about Curtis for the first, have been with Curtis from the start. If there's 300 of you that just hit the subscribe button, we've done it before Christmas, and you see that you've seen your growth, man. It gasses me, man. From August to now, you've basically, if you do get these 300, let's just say you are, which I believe you will, you've got 10,000. You've grown 10,000 from August to December. If Arsenal had that heart, where would we be, man? So you need to get Curtis to 20K before the end of the year, man, and 50s, 100s, and the rest of it beyond, man. Because this time next year, you're gonna be on something special, my guy.
Bro, we'll be there together, man. All of us, man. Community,
Come on.
God bless, man. Yo, take care, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not even back at 2 o'clock. I'll be back for the watch along tomorrow night. So I think it's 8 o'clock kickoff. I'll be on about 7:30. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Peace.
Bless.